Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk with Mimi. We are here. We made it. Let me tell y'all, I was not even sure that today's episode was going to happen because let me tell you, your girl had a rough week, okay? Had such a rough week. So I had to, put every energy and everything that I needed to make sure I was here today. And also something so good, something so amazing happened. And I can't wait to share that story with you. So that also helped me to be here. But I honestly hope everybody's doing good. I hope everyone is doing okay. Although I was not feeling my best this week, I do, guys. Am so thankful for every one of you that has been following. Listen, the list is growing, y'all. Listen, I'm proud of you guys. The way you guys are proud of me, I'm proud of you for following me. I'm proud of you for subscribing. I'm proud of you for commenting. So thank you so much for doing all of that. Keep the comments coming, keep the subscribing coming, keep the following on social media coming. I love it all and thank you. I had an eventful week. We're gonna talk a little bit more about it, but we'll be back soon. This show today was sponsored by Ben Real Estate. If you are looking for a house, you are looking for a condo, you are looking for an apartment, Ben is your man. He can connect you, he can help you, he can make it happen. He is basically almost everywhere in South Florida, and he is very well connected in the Port St. Lucie, Fort Myers area. So if you're ever looking for someone to help you find a house, your dream house, to help you find your dream place, he is your guy. So be sure to connect with him. Be sure to follow him on social media. He will definitely help you find that special home so you can live in. Okay, so we are back. Let's talk about my week. I really want to share everything that happened. So before we even go about myself, did you guys watch the debate? This is one of the things I've been waiting to talk to you guys about, okay? Tell me your thoughts, first of all, about how everything went, because I know how I felt about it. I know what I was thinking the whole entire time, because if you guys were watching what I was watching, Vice President, Miss Kamala Harris, she ate, y'all. Like, she did that. Like, she came prepared. She came with the facts. She came with the correct information. Although, here and there, she was being petty because, of course, her opponent was being petty. But let me tell you something. She had the information and she was ready to actually just say what needed to be said. And, of course, Orange Head, he does what he does best, just go ahead and attack and, talk about immigrants and talk about us people. How dare he, talk about my people, my Haitians, talking about we're eating cats and dogs, in Ohio, why are you trying to attack immigrants that are basically, I don't want to say creating jobs, but they're actually working hard in a community to bring money as well to that community. Because the more people you have working in a community, the more revenue you're bringing for that city, for that state, for that community. So why are you attacking a group of people like that who do not deserve it? But anyway, we're not going to stay on that because guess what? We're bigger than that. We're bigger than that. We're going to let him make a fool out of himself. We're going to let him do what he wants to do. But guess what? We're going to win. We're going to win. What we're going to do, we're going to vote because your vote matters. So I want everyone, we're not going to let the negative just stay there, but we're going to turn it into a positive. You have to know what you want. When somebody's attacking you, you attack them where it hurts. So we're going to go to the poll. We're going to attack him there. But let me tell you, my good sis here, she came ready, okay? I don't know if you were watching what I was watching, but that debate, it was good. I love the fact that, she had all the facts. She had everything ready. And the fact that, he thought he was going to be able to pull all the moves that he did with the prior opponents, but he was not able to, and she blocked him in every conversation that, he was trying to bring up. And I love that for us. So I want to know in the comments right now, tell me what you thought about the debate. I want us to have a little talk about it. Okay, so like I said, before we, welcome our guests that we're going to be talking to, I did tell you that I had an eventful week. I'm going to tell you all about what happened this week. Yesterday, I attended a wedding expo that, my friend put together. Lavish Design and Creation, Miss Luna Phillip, Jean-Philippe, let me just say Jean Phillip, she put it together. Guys, let me tell you something. If there's one person I know, and I like to give people flowers when they deserve it. If there's one person I know that works hard, I can say that she is one of those people that I know that works hard. And I've worked with her in the past, and it was good to see that something she's been wanting to do, and she made it happen. Yesterday was 10 out of 10 beautiful. Everything was very well executed. It was very well put together, and I absolutely enjoyed it. They actually had a wedding, like an actual wedding. So just to give you a little bit of backstory of what the event was about, it's basically showing you that, the steps that you have to go through when you're getting married, because that's just like putting an event together, if I'm being honest with you. People think that, oh yeah, everything is all glamorous. It's so beautiful, everything looks good. And sometimes people are so quick to criticize. They're so quick to judge, but it's a lot that goes behind the scene. And she was basically trying to show everyone step by step, this is what you do when you're getting married, from the church to the decor, to the food, to like every little details, to entertainment, to DJ, to photography, to videography. So if you are someone who is into wedding planning, event planning, or even decor, like I felt like this is something that you needed to just be part of. So I really wanted to give my girl a big shout out for putting this together yesterday, her and her team, because it takes a village to do everything that you do. So her and her team, I wanted to give you guys a big shout out because I feel like you deserve it. So, but within that, something amazing happened. Remember, in the beginning, I did tell you guys, I wasn't even sure I was going to do this episode. I wasn't even sure that I was going to make it. But I had an encounter with someone that I feel like I should talk about, because sometimes the way that God works, guys, I am telling you, this man, he works in mysterious ways. So something happened, something took place within that, event that I attended last night. I'm going to share with you. So your girl is sitting here. For somebody who's sick, I just told my, camera guy, I told him, for somebody who's sick, I sure have enough energy today, okay? But I'm going to tell you why. Stay tuned. Hello tout le monde, bonsoir, non moi c'est Merline. Moi vin la jeudi pour m'ka parler ou de app qui relè rencontrer. Rencontrer app c'est un app qui fait spécialement pour nous-mêmes haïtiens. So sous app ça, si que wap chercher un monde qui single ça veut dire un monde qui pas gen monde avec yo, qui pas gen monde du tout, k'ap chercher l'amour. App ça ba ou une opportunité pour capable connecter avec monde tout côté. So moi vle jodi pour aller sur app là, aller download li et puis aller essayer de connecter avec l'autre haïtien pareil yo. Wap joindre l'amour ça, wap joindre chouchou ça et wap joindre love ça que wap chercher a. Al connecter jodi connecter sur rencontrer app. Okay, so like I was telling you guys about the beautiful event I attended yesterday by my good friend Luna. While I was there, I met someone who I previously known from attending all of my events. She's been at my fashion shows. She's been at my women empowerment event. And when she saw me, she was like, oh my God, Marlene, I'm happy to see you. I don't want to mention her name, but I can give her initial because, again, this was not something I discussed with her that I was going to talk about. And the initials are M and M. She will know who she is. And she's like, oh, when are we going to get another event from you? Of course, we miss your events down here. So I was basically letting her know, whenever I'm quiet, I'm working behind the scene, But again, putting an event together, guys, like I said, it's exhausting. It's a lot of work. So if you don't have a passion for it, I don't recommend that you do it, honestly, and especially if you want to do it the right way. But that's besides the point. So then she was just like, I watch your show on YouTube, and, I do see that you bring a lot of people on board, entrepreneurs and business owners, and you have interviews with them. I was just like, oh, yes, 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 I do have the show. Now, let me pause right here. It's not even the fact that she says she watches the show. And of course, good job with everything that you're doing. It's the fact that, when you're having one of those weeks where everything is just like, seems to annoy you. You're just not having it at all. You're just not in the best mood. You're overwhelmed, like, it's just everything is going wrong. And at that time, the person said that. Sometimes it just takes one word. And to me, I felt like it was encouraging to hear somebody says, I watch your YouTube show. I see you interviewing other people. So I do see the likes, I do see the comments, I do see everything that you guys are doing, the shares as well. But to actually meet someone who verbally say it to me, it just it hit differently. So then from there, I was just like, oh my God. Like that just made me feel extra special. So I was sitting there the whole entire night. I was just like, oh my God, they're watching my show. They were like, I was excited about it. So Miss Eminem, thank you for watching and thank you for saying that. Again, that's why I always say, like, your word goes a long way. You never know like how you can change someone's life by saying something positive. And even by saying something negative too, you can ruin somebody's life. But just by saying something that is uplifting, you just never know how you made that person feel. And I am being honest with you. You really made me feel so good about myself that night. And listen to me, we even went further. There was one of the photographers that was there. We even started talking business. I was just like, okay, Jesus, I know this is you, but we're not going to go there, okay? But I wanted to make sure I talk about her. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And we have one more thing to talk about my week. So guys, your girl has been featured on a magazine. Yay! I know. I'm excited. Although this is not the first time, but honestly, when something like that happens, it shows you that your work doesn't go unnoticed. It shows you that you're doing something positive. It shows you that, you're there, you're being seen, like it brings all of the good emotions. So I'm very excited about it. I was finally able to see the final touch of the magazine, well, of my section of the magazine. And they have the launching that's coming up October 25th. If you guys would like to go, I'll be sure to post more information. But I just thought I should share, because again, when you work hard, you don't work hard for people to always say, oh my God, you're working hard. But again, the little appreciation, it goes a long way. So every time I see my name somewhere, doing something positive, or I see my face being stamped somewhere doing something positive, it just makes me feel good. So I was just like, oh my God, I saw it. I was able to actually look at myself once more, just reading about me, reading about the things that I do. And it just felt so good. I couldn't wait to share it with you. Once the magazine is out, I will let you guys know, and I'll bring a copy so you guys can see it and you guys can tell me what you think. So I thought I should share with you all. Okay, so this is going to be our final break, I promise. And then we're going to bring the guest of honor. We have Miss Carine Emile. She is a therapist. She's going to be talking to us. We're going to talk everything, mental. We're going to talk everything, discuss everything we can talk about with a therapist. So just stay tuned, because I know that those are conversations, again, we need to have, given that September has a lot to do with mental illness. So I felt like we need to talk about it. Stay tuned. Welcome back. As promised, we do have the amazing Carine Emile. You're going to have to bear with me, because I don't call her Carine. I call her Miss Tika Emile. She is here with us. She is an amazing therapist. We have so much to unfold. We have so much to talk about, especially given that we're from the Caribbean. If you know, you know, okay? Yeah. If you know, you know. Hi, Tika.
Hi, Mimi.
How are, again, you see? I can't say Carline. You see, guys? I cannot do
Tika's
the Carline
fine.
thing. How are you? Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So talk to us a little bit. Walk us through the process, of you choosing to be a therapist, because I want to get straight to it.
Okay.
I know that our parents, again, like I said earlier,
yeah,
when you grew up in the Caribbean, especially with a Haitian and a daddy, and a Haitian mommy and a Haitian daddy, how did they take it? when you told them you wanted to be a therapist?
You know, I am so thankful. I actually have the best parents in the world. Like, I am thankful for them. They've always been supportive of anything that I've tried to do. At the beginning of my, college career or in high school, that's how I started.
Okay.
My dad, he was always like, you want to go for the nursing field because, the healthcare field is very popular in our community. And then one thing my counselor did for me when I was in high school, I went to shadow somebody you want to, like your career, you get to spend that day with that person in your career. So it was Delaware Medical, and I went there for a day, and I was like, no, this is not for me.
This is not for you. Yes.
I'm sure there's a nurse out there in Delaware looking for a student.
And shout out to all the nurses.
Yes, I love
We're
all
not
my
knocking
nurses.
it,
Yes.
okay? But
it just wasn't for me. So when I started going to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started taking the regular classes and everything like that. So as I got into my bachelor's, and I was like, okay, I can look into psychology, and furthermore, I went to get my master's, and then therapy just fell on my lap, honestly.
Wow.
It was my best friend at the time. Shout out to Mindy. She's still my best friend. I don't want to say at the time. She's still my best friend.
Well, then they're best.
So she was a clinical director,
Okay.
and I was having trouble finding a job. That's another thing. When you're done with school, you're so excited, but there's a whole world out there that you have no idea what's waiting for you. So I was one of those people. I could not find a job in what I study. So she was a supervisor where she was. She's like, girl, I'm in Jacksonville. I'm a supervisor. I can give you a job. Come over.
Okay.
So, and then I started going into it, and she's like, you're Haitian, you speak Creole. There's so many people in your population that she can help. And I started looking into it. So she kind of gave me the blueprint to get into therapy.
And let me pause you right here. Shout out to friends
Yes.
that put us in places, okay? They mention our names, whenever it's needed. Shout out to those friends.
Yep.
And shout out to Bestie again, her
Yes.
bestie, okay?
And that's kind of like how I felt,
Okay.
I started learning more, and I was like, oh, this is great. I learned to training. She trained me about a lot of things that I know. Even though you have the degree, sometimes you still need that training that, and I have a policy background. I'm very big on, social work. So we have a lot of policy kind of things going on, admin. So the therapy part, I kind of learn it as I go. But the classes that I took, I started implementing them, and it kind of fell into my lap like that. And ever since then, I've learned to, I've started going to churches. My pastor's wife, she's always been supportive of me going to different churches and talk to the Haitian people about therapy. What is that? What does that look like? Why do people go to therapy? Why don't they go to therapy? So, and then you kind of make things your own as you go along. I'm thankful to God for blessing me with knowledge. So eventually you kind of make it go along the way. I wrote books, workbooks, you name it, and I've done it. But as far as my parents, I'm thankful for that. They were very supportive, and I think it's very important for those of us who are parents that, when your children choose a different path, still support them because that does help when you have that support system.
And this is one thing I want to say with this generation, they're a little bit more understanding because as we were growing up, because of course, and it's generational as well, because they believe that you have to be the nurses, the doctors, and this is a conversation we can have like every single day that won't stop. But I feel like as more of us are growing, Gen Z, if you were to call it, or the millennials, they're more understanding where, okay, maybe they can go into like different field. There was something you mentioned earlier that I want to go back to. You said like you kind of had an interest in it in high school, right? If I understood correctly.
Yes, I did.
So then, okay, although it fell on your lap, you always know. But like when you were in high school, did you always find yourself also being like this person giving people advice?
There you go.
Did you always find yourself there?
Yes. Always that friend that, go to Carine for, and then I'll find the answer for everything.
Break up with them. That's what I just said. Right? This is you. They come crying
and
to
I've
you.
always been a great listener,
That's good.
So that kind of help along the way as well. But there's always that person in your friend group that you can go to for advice and everything like that.
And there was no trauma there as well that led you to being like the therapist that you wanted to be as well?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, not really. No.
Okay. So then let's talk about, after you have your sessions, for example, because we know that, after you sit down for a whole day, you talk to, different people with different personality. It can be so draining. Like, how do you take care of you, your mental health? What do you do?
Well, you know, my friends call me the self-care queen. So
I know that's right.
I do not, when I tell you me, I do not negotiate when it comes to my time for myself.
Yes.
Like it was, and I kind of learned that from my mom. She was always like she was the original self-care
Yes.
queen. That
Okay.
She just learned to take care of herself. And that's what I say. Children learn what you do, not
That's
what
true.
you say, right?
That's true.
So for me at an early age, I knew the importance of taking care of myself. So I knew my limits. Of course, there are times, you know, there are people you're going to see back to back. But at the same time, how good am I if I'm not taking care of myself, right? So I make sure I'm staying hydrated, making sure that, you know, sometimes some of the sessions you have to schedule them not too much back to back, but give yourself some time of space. So that's kind of like you practicing self-care in the workplace, because a lot of the time we wait until we feel burnt out to practice self-care.
Yes.
And I always tell people, if you're waiting until the end, then you're doing it wrong. You need to do it as you go. So you have to do that check-in with yourself. So for me, I prioritize my sleep.
Yes.
I prioritize my peace. I love my peace. Like I don't really do noise or anything like that. So, and I make sure I spend time with my loved ones. I do love my family. I do love my friends. So I'm always connecting with my friends, whether it's brunch or supporting events.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so I do like to connect. A big part of me is connecting with people in the community, but I do make sure that I do my self-care as I go along, not when I'm burned out.
And whenever you need that time as well, do you ever find, and are your kids small or are they a little bit older?
Right now, I don't have any kids.
Oh, you don't have, okay, so then that's the perfect time to do self-care, to do therapy, okay?
Yes.
But whenever you need that time, do you always find yourself where you're just like, my goodness, I wish there was more of that I can do, where, especially on the weekends too, because I know that this is where every time, you know, when a woman needs to go get their nails done, get their hair done after a long week, do you find yourself doing it every weekend? I guess that's what I'm trying to say with the self-care.
Yeah, I make, you know, usually Saturdays are my day to myself.
Okay.
So I make sure there's a day to myself, unless I have like, sometimes I'll have event going on, but my day to myself is the day of Saturday. And I just like to lay in bed and watch TV.
I know that's
you know,
right.
just eat,
You
whatever
don't
I
be
need
bothered.
to do. I don't like to be bothered. Even my family knows Saturdays. If you see me outside, I love you. That's why I'm outside.
I like that. She does not negotiate her Saturdays.
You know, Monday to Friday, you out there doing, and Sundays like church family.
Exactly.
So for me, that day you have to, whether it's the hour or the day, if you're fortunate enough, but you always have to make sure you take that time for yourself.
That's good. Okay, now let me also ask you, give me like, what would you consider being your strength as a therapist?
As a therapist, you have to be a great listener.
Okay.
Because, you know, people come to you, it's not about you. It's about what they come for. So you have to make sure that you're a great listener. You are listening, you're connecting, eye contact, you know, like you are listening to what they have to say. Also, you have to have empathy. You know, sometimes you may not be able to relate to what people is going through, but you can put yourself in their shoes, right? So it's very important that you show empathy, that people come to you. That's why when I, you know, do therapy, I used to see a lot of the Haitian people, because they don't have to tell me about the culture. I'm the culture. They know who I am.
Yes, I
so
like
making
that.
sure you're connecting with that person that specialize in what you go through is a big factor. So you have to know what your clientele is, what your niche is, right?
Okay.
Self-care, depression, anxiety, trauma, stress management. These are the things that I like to focus on, because it gives me that knowledge to just focus on that population. Now, if it's like marriage, anything else, it's not that I can't do it, but there are other people that specialize in that. So you have to know what population you want to work with. How can you connect with that population? So you make sure that sometimes you want to do more good. And if you're not a good therapist, people don't go back because of that reason, right?
Exactly.
So, because they couldn't connect. I'll even tell people, when you meet with a therapist, that hour, that's your time.
Exactly.
You know, I'm working for you for that hour.
And I was going to ask you a question about that, because I know a lot of people, especially if they're doing it for the first time, it's kind of hard for them to actually start that conversation. Sometimes it's a little odd. And I've, you know, of course, in movies, they show you a lot of things. And sometimes they will lie about the actual, you know, what's going on. Like, how do you actually pull that information? Is there like some kind of technique, some kind of trick, like, you know, with the therapist? Because, and again, per movies, again, because I've never sat in a therapy room, but like they will just sit there just staring at you.
Yeah.
Like, do you get that as well? Those kind of
Yeah,
clientele?
I mean, there are many steps
Okay.
to when somebody comes to you. First, you have to do the the 15-minute phone call to make sure if it's a good
Yes,
fit. And there's
yes.
something we call a biopsychosocial. That's like that's like the interview, what you call it. I don't want to give too
Okay.
much.
No,
But you
no.
know, at the beginning, you have to do like something we call a bio, where you
Okay.
finding that person's background, if they've been on medication before,
Okay.
their family, their strengths. So all of those things are like a bio that we do about that person, along with the treatment plan to know what the treatment is going to look like. So it's not like the person, the first time they meet with you, they talking to you about their entire life.
Okay.
You kind of have like that background information about that person.
See, the movie, they missed that part.
Oh no, they'll
because
never
whenever
show
they're
you.
showing it, they're just showing you somebody just sitting there
sitting
talking
there,
to them. So
laying
see,
on the
good
couch.
to know.
And that's
good
why
to
people
know.
be like, why would I go to a stranger for a
Exactly. So
therapist?
that's good to know. And
Yeah.
also, let's talk about mental health in men. Do you also find yourself having a lot of men that comes to you? Because this is something now, thankfully, you are seeing more men, you know, being able to actually just go sit at a therapy session and talk.
Yeah.
But do you find, you know, more men coming to you as well?
Yeah, but we still can get more.
You think so?
I'm big on that.
Okay.
Right. We can still, I mean, shout out to the men who are going, who are thinking of going. And I think men deserve that space for themselves.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I'm sure we're going to get to that topic later on. But we still need more men,
Okay.
right? And that's why we try to recruit a lot of male therapists too, so they can somewhat connect. But anybody that specializes in what you're going through is very important, because our men, they're going through things.
Of
and they're
course.
not as vocal.
And I think it is important for them to sit down, to have that space, you know, to talk about their feelings,
Yeah.
because they have things that they go through, you know, like that we don't know about. They don't want to share with
Absolutely.
their wives or even their best friend. And I think that it doesn't matter if you're like a male therapist or a female therapist, they should be able to, like you said, find that person that they
finding
can
that
talk
person.
to. But what do you think we can do better, or you guys can do better as a therapist, to welcome them? What is it exactly that is holding them back? Because I know there is always a trust issue there, but is there something else that can pull them?
I think, I mean, for me, I'm big on education, especially when it comes to the stigma, right? Why don't people do this? That's why I say listening is important, right? I want to listen to, why don't you do this? Once I know why, then we can find a common ground as far as the solution to what we need to do. So a big part of therapy is the educational part, which is where I'm transitioning to.
Yes.
Making sure you're going into the community to talk to these men, what's going on, because it's hard out here being a man. I mean, the whole world's crucified them, right?
You hear that? We're for you guys. You know, we love you guys. Okay?
I love my man, so you know. And
when I say love you all, we agape love you.
Yeah,
okay?
and I think it's important. I mean, like I said, they are the head of household, right? And they carry the world. When they go home, that should be that peace. I mean, make sure you're bringing peace too. But, you know, that should be that peace that we can comfort them, making sure we know, hey, what's going on in your life? How was your day? That's something I do a lot with my husband, checking in with each other. What's going on with your life right now? What are you working on? What is this day looking like for you? What was the best part of your day, right? And we have to listen to what's going on with them, because that's how we can help them. And making sure, even if they're not ready, do they have a group of men they hang out with, good group of men that they hang out with, right? Whether it's basketball, men prayer meeting, or something like that. But everybody deserves that space for themselves where they can feel heard, they can feel like they can relate to, and most importantly, they're working through whatever they have going on.
That's good. Now, while we're talking about that, do you ever find yourself, when you're having a session with someone, the conversation is so deep that, you know, the emotions are there, like you feel sorry for that person? How do you handle it? Like, you know, for you not to cry, for you not to, you know, get emotional, because you're supposed to be the main person to support them.
Right.
Like, have you ever find yourself in that situation?
Yeah, I've had that, especially when a lot of us mental health professionals, we sometimes carry people's pain with us, you know. So, and I think a part of us, we also humans. I've cried in sessions, you know, not like you holding me, right? But you can feel like, you know, a tear may come down. But are you
allowed to be honest?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I mean, I think, you know, there's always a code of ethics, like you said, as long as the client is not the one holding you, like you crying. But shedding a tear we are
normal.
humans. It is a normal thing. And
okay.
I never want people to feel like they can suppress their feelings.
Okay.
And also, based on the relationship you've built with the client, sometimes it's like, you know, it's just
and especially if it's someone you've been seeing for many years.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the wall may be very high at the beginning, but once you start seeing people 3 to 5 sessions deep, you're like, a
Yeah.
little tear, it's really nothing, but it is a normal thing because we are human. There are things, especially when we work with children that have been abused,
Exactly.
some things that kids have gone through. You're like, my gosh, how?
Yeah.
Right? So you still have to have that human side of you where shedding a tear is not it's not unhuman.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Because
But there
I
are
thought there
limits.
was like, you come, we talk, we say what we gotta say, and that's it, because I feel like maybe people will just take it a certain way. If you start crying, oh, well, this is supposed to be my therapist. Why is she crying? So that's why, I thought it was important to know if it's okay for you to feel certain things and show them that, you can feel that as well.
So one thing I would say too, if it's becoming too emotional every time you're seeing that person, that might be the time for you to check in with yourself as well. Because sometimes
it might trigger something.
Yeah, it might trigger something within you, right? There's a difference between shedding a tear and session, but if every time that person is coming you're crying, then at this point you might want
that
to
is
check
interesting
in with yourself as a therapist, to be like, you have supervision, talk to your subordinates, and to make sure that you are being a good resource for that person.
Now, have you been triggered?
Not as bad. No, not really. Thank God. And that's why I stay in my area. This is one of the main reasons I stay within my area.
Okay.
So, because you want to make sure you can handle this part.
Okay, so we are in September, and September is very big on, mental health and suicidal month. How do you connect with someone who is considering, suicide?
Well, that's a big one, right? Because September is Suicide Awareness Month, and like we are doing is educating, right? The churches, the community resources, the community centers, the homes. We're talking about these. There's the 988 number, which is a suicide hotline, right? That's like the 911, but the number is 988. If you are feeling triggered or you're thinking about doing anything to yourself, that's the number you call for the resource. But the big part is, we're Haitians, right? Because we know where our people are, the church, right?
Exactly.
So the church is a big part of my ministry that I do. Like mental health for me is a ministry. It's something that I talk to people about, showing the sign of depression. Are you sad? How long have you been sad? We have a lot of people from the Biden program coming into the country. A lot of people have come to different, they've seen a lot of trauma. And these are people that I've worked with when I'm doing mental health first aid, right? So we are doing education. A lot of people, they are numb. They have been gone through so much, they don't even remember what crying, what is that? I still got to take care of my kids. I still got to do this and do that. So going out there and educate people to show them the signs. And not only that, it's good to educate, but what is the resource behind that, right? The 211, that's another line you call for resources. Making sure we have these pantries available for our people that needs food. Making sure they know the shelters that's available and all of that. Because right now we know life is hard. There's a big crisis with the housing market, so everybody's going through it. And I think we have to be kind with one another. We never know what people are going through, right? So we want to make sure that if somebody, I don't like people that are rude, so sometimes I would remove myself because I don't want to do more hurt than it can be. But if you are rude, if you're not talking to people the proper way, why is that? Why are you so angry, right?
And it could also be a trigger because you also have to understand. Let's talk about the ones that are from the Biden program or the ones that had to travel many rivers, like things like that. You never know. Like it could be a trigger to them. It's not that they meant to be rude, but the way that they welcome what you're saying to them, it's there's something there that's triggering them. But at that moment, instead of removing yourself, wouldn't you think, like, try to see, okay, what is it exactly?
Oh, I'm talking to people in general. Like
okay. I thought you meant, okay. Oh, okay.
No, like customer service type of people. Like when people are like rude, but not like when you are helping people, they're rude, because you already know that has nothing to do with you or whatsoever. But I know kindness is a good way to making sure that we are putting ourselves in other people's shoes. Always be willing to serve, even though you may not be able to help that person. Do you know somebody that can help that person? Is there somebody I can connect you to, right? And that's why we always tell people, if you know of a resource, text
share
it,
it.
share it.
Yes.
Let's just put it
Yes.
out there. Social media,
Yes.
text messages, right? Because I'm that resource type
Mm-hmm.
of person. So it's good. You never know whose hand is gonna go to. And we are looking for more grants in the community to do more
Yes.
work for our
Yes.
people. So any type of legislators, we're trying to partner up with our county
That's good.
commissioners to make sure we let them know, hey, this is what's going on in our county. These are the people that are coming in. These are the programs that we want to create, but we need the money. We need
Yes.
help. So how can
Yes.
you help us? How can we collaborate, right, to make sure things are happening?
There was something that you mentioned earlier, and I want to commend you for it, because I do recall that the last interview I had, which was with Pastor Jeriel, she is also doing what you're doing right now. She's doing the same in her church with the kids. I commend any church that I know that is trying to, bring awareness, especially when it comes for mental health, because again, that's the main thing right now that I think it's important. And like I said, our parents now, they're more understanding towards it. So I think it's very important, and I absolutely commend you for, just taking the time to talk to them about it so they can understand it better. And the way that she does it, that as well. And she was talking about that. She doesn't just talk to the kids. She has the parents there.
Absolutely.
So that way, the parents can hear what the kids are doing. And if you watch it, and you'll see, the way she does it, she has them ask questions, but she doesn't say who's asking the questions. And then she puts the questions out there.
Yep, we do that at our church.
Oh my God. I was just like, oh my God, this is so interesting. So then questions that the kids can't ask to their parents, but they're able to ask her. And then she put it out there. I think that is phenomenal. If you are doing that, please.
It's a great resource because it's not even the kids. They don't want their friends to know either, right? So we use it for relationship cues. So it's a great way for people to ask those questions or so. And then we all another thing with therapy, we are under confidentiality, right? So a lot of the time people say, why would I go to a stranger to talk about my problem? Well, that stranger is qualified. That stranger went to school for what you're trying to do, right? That stranger is under ethics, right? So I can't. Oh, guess what? Mimi told me today at session, right? Because that would cut your license right there, right?
Yes.
So, and also, how many times have we talked to somebody that we know that have failed us? They talked our problems out, right? So these are a lot of the reason why you want to go to this stranger at some point that become a good resource for you, a good, I don't want to say friend, but that person that that's your safe space. You can come in and talk to, and whatever happens stays in the room, but you're also going to find solutions to what's going on with the triggers that may be going on in your life.
So now we know you have a book.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your book. And you're going to tell us where we can find the book.
Absolutely. So my book is Seeing to Self-Care. That's why I say my friends call me the Self-Care Queen. So it's a well-being book that I kind of wrote during COVID, actually, because I was seeing so many people that was going through anxiety. So I started blogging. So a good way I self-care is through writing, right? So I kind of wrote down different sections. How do you take care of yourself as a mom? How do you take care of yourself as a dad? How do you take care of yourself in the church? How do you take care of yourself if you're single? So I have the caregivers. We know that's a lot of people are taking care of kids or parents. So all of those are in the book. It's like a well-being book. It's a guide that you can read to find different type of self-care activities, how to connect with people, if you are grieving. So all of those are in the book. It's a very short book that I kind of wrote. It was one of my first projects that I'm very proud of.
That's good.
It's on
As
Amazon.
You should be.
Thank you. It's on Amazon. It's called Seeing to Self-Care, and you can get it from there.
Okay, so you hear Amazon, Seeing to Self-Care. Make sure you grab it now. It was such a great pleasure speaking with you.
And I have to give it to you, Mimi. I am so proud of the work that you're doing. Thank you. I don't know when is your next event, okay?
What?
When is the next Mimi event?
You see? I was literally just talking about, God, this is a sign. If this is a sign, I hear you, okay?
Yes, okay.
It is coming. It is coming. I am currently working on it. This year was a very rough year. And, I shared a few, little details here and there, but I like to share my testimony as I get closer to the events. So you guys will hear more about it.
In Florida, right?
Yes, in Florida.
Okay,
yes, in Florida. Don't worry. I left you guys for a minute. Don't worry. But New York was amazing, though.
I'm sure.
I had such a good time in New York. It was great to bring it. I know. She's like, yeah, I know. But just bring it back home. Bring it back home. It's coming home. It's coming home. Don't worry. But no, we're working on the event. We're planning on having it. But thank you. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot.
I'm sure, of course.
It takes a lot, to put the event together. But I'm not by myself. I have this man up there. I always say that. Like, me putting this event together, it's not just me. But
trust me.
This is not about me. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Vivi.
How can we follow you on social media? And if people want your services as well.
They can go to Citadel Counseling at Citadel Counseling on Instagram. That's where my business page is. So you can follow me there. I have a lot of tips there, a lot of information. You can always call or text 561-715-9211 and citadelcounseling@gmail.com. That is where you can find me.
So now you know, if you're having a breakdown, you don't have a friend, if you just want to have a conversation, if you feel like, you want to commit suicide or you're going through depression, because again, times are hard right now. We get it. Like everybody's going through something. She's your girl. Be sure to reach out to her.
CitadelCCS.com.
CitadelCCS.com. So make sure that you follow her on social media, get her book, support each other, and make sure you share her page. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to follow. Be sure to share. Be sure to subscribe. Until next time, stay tuned for the next episode.